on Monday, Joanne explained. But they wanted to keep him under observation for a few more days. For a guy who supposedly can't even remember who he is, I'm surprised he's so anxious to get out of the hospital. I'd think most people would be terrified and would want to stay somewhere safe, Joe said. Danielle claims he wants to stay at Marlow House because it's the last place he stayed before the accident, and he's hoping that will help jog his memory, Joanne reluctantly added. I suppose I can understand that. Let's hope he gets his memory back quickly. I don't think Danielle needs to be looking after Clint Marlow for any longer than necessary, Brian said. She shouldn't be doing it at all, Joe grumbled. And did you know? He wants to be called Walt, Joanne said. Brian nodded. Yes, the chief told us. He saw Marlow right after he came out of the coma. According to the chief, Marlow said he didn't feel like a Clint, so he decided to go by his first name. Technically, his first name is Walter, not Walt, Joanne grumbled. And I find it annoying he's using Walt Marlow's name. It isn't right. It is his name, too, Brian reminded her. He's not at Marlow House yet, is he? Joe asked. Joanne shook her head. No. Danielle is picking him up from the hospital this morning. Danielle had pulled up to the front door of the hospital several minutes earlier and now stood by the side of her Ford Flex, the passenger door wide open. She watched as a nurse pushed a wheelchair through the open doorway of the hospital and toward her vehicle. Its passenger, Walt Marlow, looked up and smiled at her, his blue eyes twinkling. Walt, the flesh-and-blood man, looked much different from the last time she had seen Walt the spirit, and it wasn't the shorter hair. It was the fact he hadn't shaved for the last few days. It was more than a 5 o'clock shadow, yet not quite a beard. While she normally wasn't a fan of men's facial hair, she had to admit, Walt wore it well. On his lap he held a plastic bag and a pair of crutches. She assumed the bag contained the meager items he had acquired while at the hospital. The previous day she had brought him a new pair of slacks, shirt, slippers, and undergarments to wear home. The tan slacks were a loose cotton blend fabric, making it easy to pull on over his cast. She had found a white linen shirt to go with the slacks. They reminded her of a shirt Walt had worn in one of their dream hops. When selecting the clothes, she had thought of what suited Walt's style, not Clint's. He seemed pleased with her selection, yet he had been apologetic over her having to go clothes shopping for him. She hadn't mentioned there were more clothes waiting at Marlow House. After all, she couldn't have Walt coming home and having nothing to wear. It wasn't like he still had the power to conjure up a new suit on demand. Before helping Walt into the passenger side of the vehicle, the nurse handed Danielle the crutches and plastic bag. While the nurse carefully maneuvered Walt into the car, Danielle tossed the bag and crutches into the back seat and then walked around the flex and got into the driver's side. You need to put on your seatbelt, the nurse instructed Walt. He looked at her with a confused expression, as if he didn't grasp her meaning. Shutting her car door after sitting down, Danielle glanced over to Walt and frowned. She then realized what the problem was. I'll help him, Danielle told the nurse. Sometimes that seatbelt sticks, she lied. Okay, but make sure he buckles up, the nurse said brightly. You take care of yourself, Mr. Marlow. Thank you, Walt told her. The nurse shut the passenger door and then turned from the vehicle and pushed the now empty wheelchair back toward the hospital. What was she talking about? Walt asked. Your seatbelt, Walt. Danielle grabbed her own seatbelt and stretched it out to show him. What in the world? He frowned. Your seatbelt. You put it on like this. Come on, you must have seen seatbelts in one of the shows you've watched on TV. She snapped the belt around her waist and looked over to Walt, waiting for him to do the same. He shrugged. I probably have, but I didn't really pay much attention to them. It doesn't matter. I don't want to wear it. I don't need to be belted in. It's not like I'm about to fall out of the car. Danielle removed her seatbelt and turned to face Walt.